Hello, we're here with another SC Unfinished Business contestant interview tonight. We have Jordan Shekowitz joining us. Taylor is along as the co-host, and she's going to be helping me as she has been to make these interviews come to life. So, Jordan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Jordan. I am 36 years old. I live in Macomb, Illinois. I'm a kindergarten teacher and a mom of two girls with my husband, Ian.
All right. Well, Jordan, let's take it back to 2013, all the way
Yep.
back to season one. So, how did you originally hear or find out about Survival Challenge, and what were your initial thoughts that made you want to say, you know what? Yeah, I want to do that.
So I won a trip to California, to the Nicaragua season finale. And so my dad and I went there. While we were there, we met Bob Crowley and became Facebook friends with him. And from there, he posted that there was going to be a Survivor-like game on his property. And so I contacted him and said I was interested in playing. And I went out and played. So
Tell us that story that you finally get the yes, you're playing, and before you actually set foot in Maine, any interesting or fun things happen along the way, preparations or anything you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, so well, my initial thoughts were actually I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know that anything like this existed, so I actually didn't really think it would be as much like Survivor as it actually is. So I didn't know exactly what to expect, but I was not expecting to really go and play a shortened version of Survivor. So it was definitely better than anything that I could have expected, but I just walked in excited and ready.
Anything in your travels out to Maine that you remember, or any stories along that route that were memorable for you?
When I was in California, it was a trip through CBS that they had this contest going online, and I won this trip. So CBS paid for my travels. They paid for me and my dad. They paid for the hotel and for the ticket into the finale. So when we were there, our plan was to walk around California and just kind of do some touring, but it rained the whole time that we were in California. So we went back to the hotel and we were just going to kind of hang out at the hotel. And I went down to the front desk to ask them for something, and I happened to see Bob Crowley in the lobby, and I had no idea that he would be there. So I ran back up and I was like, Dad, I just saw Bob Crowley. And I had never met anybody that played Survivor before. So we went back down just to see if Bob happened to still be there. And then we saw all these other Survivor players from Nicaragua there. And so we stayed down there for a while talking to Bob, which is how we got to know him more. And now, looking back at those pictures, I actually can see some of the people from Survival Challenge that I've met through this in a lot of those pictures. So it's kind of cool to go back and see that we were all in the same space, but I didn't know any of them, and now we're all so connected today.
Oh, we're all just one big family.
Yeah. Even before I knew it.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So let's jump to, you are landing in Maine, and what's going through your mind when you stepped out into this Survivor game, and paint the scene for us. Give us some details.
Yep. So we arrived in Maine. My dad came with me because I didn't know anybody there except Bob and Peggy, and I had met them once and we had talked for a little bit. So I went out to Maine, drove what seemed like forever to what seemed like the middle of nowhere to get to this property. And so I was hoping when I got there that I would at least see Bob or Peggy, and hopefully they would remember me from when I had met them before. So I arrived, did not see them anywhere. I just saw a bunch of people that I did not know. So then I was taken to a very small room in a house, and John checked my bag, um, and and he was like, "Yep, you're good. Stay here. Do not talk to anyone." And then he left. So I sat there. It was a very small room with nothing in it. So I decided I was going to sit and rest for a little bit because I had no idea what was coming or when, or if there would be something that I had to do where I was like running around. So I waited for a very long time until it got dark outside. And then finally somebody came back to get me, and I was immediately blindfolded and put onto this like hay rack on the back of a tractor.
Okay, blindfolds and tractors. How far?
In the dark.
Very dark.
You want to ask the
So-
next question? There you go, yeah.
So tell us then, season 1 plays out. Favorite memories, things that you took away from the game as far as connections or things you've learned, any of that?
Yeah, a few of my favorite memories. So first of all, we were on this hay rack thing on the back of behind the tractor, and we start going. It had rained a lot right before we arrived, so it was really muddy. And Bob was driving the tractor, and all of a sudden the tractor stopped, and he came back. I was sitting near the back, still blindfolded, but sitting near the back, so I could hear Bob tell 2 people that were sitting near me that he needed them to get off because we were stuck in the mud. He needed them to help him push, and he told them to take their blindfold off so that they could help. And he was like, "Don't talk and don't tell John, but I need you to get me out of this mud." So they pushed us out. So that was a fun memory. And then John came and did his introduction to it. Like, he said a little bit, Bob said a little bit, and then they took us and dropped us off to different spots along the trails, kind of somewhere in the woods. And they dropped us off alone. So it was pitch black, dropped us off. We were in a spot. We had a little piece of plastic, and that's basically all we had. So I do not like the dark, especially outside alone when I can't see anything that's around me. I don't know what animals are there. So I wanted to try to fall asleep quickly before I started hearing things and scaring myself into not getting any sleep that night. So I woke up the next morning, and I popped my head up, I looked up, and the first thing I see across from me are these pigs, and I was terrified. I was like, these pigs could have run over me in the middle of the night. I did not know at the time, but later I found out there was a fence there, so I was safe, but I was very nervous once I saw those pigs. And then there were also several times where we would do a challenge, and then we'd have quite a bit of downtime where we were just kind of sitting around with our tribe. And every once in a while, we could hear a chainsaw or something going on. And again, we didn't really know it at the time, but later found out that they were still preparing our next challenge or finding things that they needed for our next challenge to happen. So we could hear them getting those things ready as well.
Do you have any favorite challenges that you remember from season 1, or any that you're also hoping to participate in this upcoming season?
Yeah, so not necessarily a specific challenge that I have that was a favorite, but there was a moment in a challenge. My favorite moment from when we were doing the challenges in season 1 was when my tribe was down to me and one other person, and we had been going to a lot of tribal councils that day, obviously, because we were down to 2, and we finally came in second place in that challenge, which meant that we didn't have to go to tribal, and it was probably the most exciting challenge that I've ever had because we were not going down to one tribe. So that was exciting. As far as challenges that I would like to participate in, I would love to participate in any of the challenges that Kevin was a part of building and making, because it would be a lot of fun to be able to bring him in the game and be a part of that challenge that he created, and still have him be a part of this season that's returning players, just have him be a part of this special season. So any of his challenges.
So all that apprehension on the unknown that started the game, and the waiting for us to get our act together, and all of that ends. What do you think when you leave? What did you take away from your experience out there?
I always tell people that this game and this event is one of the biggest, most life-changing things of my life so far, because I met a lot of really special people from this event, from when it was in Maine, as well as while it's been in Illinois. A lot of my closest friends are from Survival Challenge, various parts of it. So one of the biggest things that I've gotten out of it is the friendships that I've made through this. And I also learned when I was playing, after I got out of the game, that like that first night when I spent in the woods sleeping in the dark by myself, that was something that I didn't think that I could ever do, sleeping alone like that. But I learned that I can do it. So things that I'm scared of or nervous about, that I can do those things.
I love it. Sorry, my dogs are having a WWE smash moment, so I apologize. All right. Let's jump 12 years from 2013, not too many, to 2025. We are just about 60 days out, which is crazy to say. What are your thoughts as we get closer to unfinished business? Give us a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. I have definitely a lot of mixed emotions. I'm excited to be a part of this. I'm excited to get to play, to fully play the game, because the first time that I played, I was eliminated from a challenge. So I'm excited to be able to fully play this game and not have that be a part of it. I also know the first time when I played, I said I didn't really think that I was actually going to play Survivor, and now I know more what to expect this time. So I'm able to be a little bit better prepared coming in this time. So I'm excited about that part of it. But then there's also some, like, I'm nervous and anxious because while I can be more prepared because I know what to expect, everyone else that's coming in also knows at least somewhat what to expect. Like, we've all done this before. And a lot of us have volunteered, whether it's been for Survival Challenge or other games, other live games as well. We all kind of have that experience of the game too. So we're still all kind of coming in on a level playing field as far as that's concerned. So just nervous and anxious about what's going to happen in this game, because we all do know a little better about how to prepare now, and who knows what's going to be thrown at us as returning players. So mixed emotions.
Well, a little bonus question for you. If you had to describe how you're going to go into this game, or how you're going to play it, or how you're going to tackle it with one word, no explanation, what would that one word be?
How I'm going to play this game? Hard.
All right, we're here with Daniel Beal from way back in season 1, 2013, 12 years ago. That's hard to even imagine. And Daniel, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself in 2025?
All right. So I'm Daniel. I am currently I am a nurse. I've done a lot of different aspects of nursing. I was fortunate to do 7 years of travel nursing. I got to go all over the States. I lived in Guam for a year. I freaking loved it. But now I am currently settled in a stable job at the hospital down the street on a trauma unit. So I get to see a lot of crazy things: gunshot wounds, stab wounds, simply people falling and breaking a rib, a lot of different stuff. I've seen the insides of body parts that most people do not get to see. So it's been an experience, and I'm thoroughly happy with where I'm at right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's go back 12 years. Let's go back to, how did you originally hear about Survival Challenge, and like, what were your initial thoughts?
Okay, so I was trying to think about this. Contextually, I played in a Survivor game in 2009 that was hosted by Jolanda, who was the first person voted out of Palau. She was hosting something in Houston. She had 20 CBS people and 20 fans. And I remember Brett, who played in season 1 with me, was the production guy for that. So we were connected. And then somehow he was in Arizona, which is where John lives. And I was playing in the first ever Survivor game I ever played in when I was in college, with a group of friends out there, and they were hosting their 15th season. And they're like, hey, we want people for it. It's blood versus water. So I think I asked Brett, and I think Brett invited you, John, right?
Yes.
Play. And then from there, I think a year later, John was asking people to come play in his first ever season. And was like, you want to come to Maine? And I was like, yes, I want to come to Maine and try this thing out. My expectations were not what they ended up being. It was way better than I imagined it was going to be. And honestly, it's crazy that it's still around. Like 12 seasons later, like that's super impressive. So, yeah, I think that's how I heard about it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I guess Steve Pickett was probably part of the connection too, right? Because Steve played in Houston when you did. And then
Steve and I played in the Houston game together, but Steve. Yeah, it was probably Steve that reached out to me. Yeah. Honestly, I don't really remember how the invite happened. I assumed it was you via text, but yeah, it could have been Steve or Brett. I don't know which
of the two. Yeah, I don't even know. It's too long ago.
It's been
any stories you remember from either leading up to you getting to Maine or when you first stepped out onto that field? Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah. So like I said, I had low expectations, not like negative ones, just like that it's going to be like all the other games I played, like ripped up pieces of paper as the voting parchment. That was not the case. So leading up to it, I kind of like didn't know what to expect. I do remember getting there and I think I was one of the earlier people to arrive. So I was put into this huge horse stable. There were no horses, but it's just a little round ring. There was a smell of hay, manure, and I was just walking around in a circle for like 2 hours before someone came and grabbed me and stuck me on a van blindfolded. And I remember it was like a 10-minute trip into the woods. And I just thought, wow, this is like legit feeling like Survivor. So that was like my first memories of the opening of Survival Challenge, Durham Warriors Survival Challenge, back when it's DWSC.
Did you have any favorite challenges from your season?
Yes. There was one challenge where it was right before merge. I think everyone knew that merge was coming up, and it was me and the remaining 4 little yellow people, the Micmac tribe. And I remember we were on logs suspended over like a little muddy pool of water. And we had to get everybody from one side and then back. And Boo was our tribe captain, the CBS player from Fiji. And he was like, came up with a great idea. He said, squat down, jump over us and go. We did it in like 5 seconds, secured ourselves 4 people moving into the merge. And I remember that being super exciting, great teamwork, very thrilling. I also loved the Final 4 challenge, which was, I would say it was endurance, but it was mostly balance. I did end up winning that one, but I just thought that was really cool because it was like at Tribal Council, everybody was watching in the audience. And the way that Tribal Council was back then is it was like kind of sloped away from you. So everybody was sitting up high and it felt very, very cool. I just remember thinking, wow, this is awesome. And it was a great one to win. And let's think. I like the relay ones. I'm kind of a fan of like teamwork and like actually having to do relays that end in puzzles. So I think there was a couple of those that we got to do too. And like I said, it was a while ago. It's a little rusty for me. I'm super excited to get back to the challenge side of things because from what I've seen in some of these seasons I'm watching, the challenges look really, really cool. So I'm excited.
Final 4. So what place did you get your season?
I got second. And back then they did a lot of things different. So at the merge, you just had to finish the eating competition. And Jordan was the last place person, so she got kicked out, which is scary when it's literally like you do this challenge, or if you fail it, you're out of the game. That's terrifying. And then the Final 4, which was really freaky, is that only 2 of you will go to the Final 2, and you have to win your way there. So myself and Russell won. That's the only reason we got to the finals. Had it been a vote, I may not have made it to the Final 2. I don't know where I would have stood in that alliance of 4, but we were like loyal to each other, and I don't know what would happen at 4. So yeah.
So you had played other games heading into that, so you had kind of a feel for it. It wasn't your first rodeo. Was there anything afterwards that you took out of the game? Anything you learned, or something about yourself or connections you made or anything post-game that was memorable for you?
Well, my relationship with Brett, because before, like in Houston, I knew of Brett, but then through playing in that season, I felt like we became actual friends. We did hang out outside of Survivor after that, which was great. I also remember Peggy Crowley. I loved her. She's a fabulous person. I'm sure everybody says that about her. She reached out even after the show. She would comment on pictures. So there were a couple people that I stayed in touch with for a little bit. As far as like personal growth, I just think these types of game formats like really test you in ways you don't get tested in life, which is really fun. Like I know I'm a nurse, I'm good under pressure. I've seen people, come back from death, and that's like an incredible experience. But Survivor, like when it's your own personal game on the line and you have to win to get further, and then you do win, that euphoric release is something that I'm looking forward to hopefully having. I hope I get at least some ways into the game to be able to have that experience. But I think I just remember being super happy with my placement and feeling like it was such a rewarding experience. And yeah, it was great. I'm a little rusty from what I remember, but probably something like that.
Okay.
Well, so what are your thoughts as you get closer to SC unfinished business? Like, what's going through your head? Because, like you said, it's been a while.
Yes. So I feel like I need to be studying for sure. I'm like trying to watch the seasons. There's a lot of content. So I'm just trying to watch the seasons and see what's different than my season. Because I think my season, we had one hidden idol and nobody found it. It might have been in a tree. I'm not really sure where it was. And the
Neither am
challenge
I don't even remember.
I think someone said it was in a tree, but I don't remember. So I feel like there's a lot more twists, a lot more things I need to be kind of in the know on, and also just like seeing the challenges, preparing myself mentally for like what that's going to look like. Yeah. And then just being prepared for, okay, I'm in my 30s now. Life has changed a lot for me. I feel like when I played these games in my 20s, I remember having a lot more OCD about like the end and getting to the end being super important for me. But now I feel like that trope that everyone says is like, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And I want to remind myself it's about being present, being in the moment. And hopefully when I leave this time, I can have more relationships with the people that I'm in this season with. Because I feel like I fell out of Survival Challenge. I came back for season 3 just to watch as a spectator. I didn't really like do much, but I feel like y'all have a good group. I've been seeing a lot of the people that are playing in this cast or people that are fans like come back year after year. They have a good friendship group. And I'm hoping that at least that's something I can take out of this. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Awesome.
Yeah. And like, I'm a little nervous about how well connected people might be to each other. I'm hoping we go in fresh and people will be like, oh, let's just go off of this organic now, what our tribe is now. But I'm a little worried that there's a lot of people who do know each other and they're friends. And I'm a little nervous about that. That's all.